In this video, I will be explaining how to create the hole in the model. Hole represents a conic hole or a countersink hole, counter bore hole or a threaded hole. You can observe here this particular hole is having the threaded portion. This is the representation of thread, which is having the hole depth till this point and the thread depth which is lesser than the hole depth. For better visibility of this threaded portion, switch to the front view and select the wireframe. Observe this threaded portion. From this end to this point there is a hole depth, and from this face to this point there is a thread depth. One more point to note here is these holes have the V bottom at the base. This can be visualized when we orient the model for particular orientation. Pick on the front, wireframe, observe this V bottom. Here there are two holes overlapping. Now, how do we do it? Delete the holes. Select all three holes. Press delete from the keyboard. Click on OK. Click on the command hole. Read the command line. Select a face, axis or a point to place a hole. Click on this face. The hole is defined on this face, but the location of the hole with respect to two references are not yet defined. These green color grips are free, and pick a hold on those green grips and drag it to one reference. They will snap to the references. The moment they snap to the reference, they will highlight at what value they are apart from the center of the hole. Enter the value or these values can be entered from placement. Here you can find the values 50 and 45. The surface on which the hole is lying is this face. You observe here, the moment the pointer is moved towards the surface, it is highlighting this face in cyan color. Observe. And for the placement of this hole on this surface, two references are must. Those references are highlighted here. Just move the pointer on these references. You can visualize those references in the model. The hole now created is having the diameter of 36 and having the depth of 75. This diameter and the depth are specified here. 36 is the diameter and 75 is the depth. This hole which is formed is having the flat bottom. For visibility, check for the preview and rotate the model. Observe this face is a flat face. Re-enter for redefinition. To give the V bottom to the hole, pick on the option V bottom. For any hole, there will be a portion which is inclined at the edges. That is called as countersink. To provide this countersink, pick on the command countersink. What should be the angle of countersink? That will be defined in the shape. Currently the angle is 82 degrees. Change the value to 60 degrees and observe this change has been updated here. And what should be the diameter of countersink? That need to be changed here. Pick on preview. Observe that this particular hole is now a countersink hole with a V bottom and countersink at the top. Re-enter for redefinition. Once the hole is defined, pick on Done. Pick on Hole command again. For placement, there is no item defined. Pick on this face for the placement. Once the hole is placed, there is no reference defined. Pick on these grips and drag it to the nearest face. Pick on this grip and drag it to the nearest face. This hole is now taken the reference of this particular end and this particular end. Diameter of the hole is 36 and the depth is 75 mm. This we can visualize here. We want to have the V bottom hole and depth of the hole to be around 50 and diameter of the hole to be 30. We can change the depth value of the hole either with defining drilled hole shoulder depth or drilled hole depth. Pick on the counter bore option. In the shape, change the value of counter bore to be around 40 and depth of counter bore to be around 20. Look at the preview. This is the counter bore hole produced and this is the countersink hole which was produced earlier. Pick on Done to finalize the hole. If a hole need to be placed through the axis of one cylinder, then pick on the command Hole. Pick on the placement. Pick on this face to define and press Hold Control and pick on the axis. This hole placement is now on this face and on this axis. The hole need to be threaded hole for us now. Pick on the Create a Standard Hole. It is asking which standard to be selected: ISO, UNC, UNF. Pick on the ISO option. For ISO option, what should be the size of hole? Whether it is M1, M2, M stands for metric, 1 stands for mean diameter and 0.25 defines the pitch of the hole. pitch of the thread. Select M20 or M22, which defines M22 is the diameter of the hole and 1 mm is the pitch. Pick on the shape to define the depth of thread. Depth of thread consider to be 30 and depth of hole to be 50. It should have the counter sink at the top. The diameter of counter sink should be more than the diameter of the hole, that is 25, and depth of the hole is already defined. Angle of counter sink currently is 90. Pick on Done for complete definition of the hole. Orient the model to visualize the thread. Observe that the hole along with the thread is formed. What are the parameters of this hole that can be visualized by switching on the note annotation element display? It says this hole is of M22 having the pitch 1, standard is ISO, and thread depth is 30 mm. Hole depth is 50 mm. The diameter of the hole to be drilled for obtaining M22 thread is 21 mm.